Hey everybody, welcome back to Blacktop Banter. This is episode 28, so season 2. I did it in 2 seasons. So a guest that I have on, I can't say you gotta remember that, Hal. I can't say
I know. It's already crossed my mind.
I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna try not to. So I got Hal Davis. Hal and I have kind of talked back and forth now for the last couple of years, I think.
Yep.
And this is our first time actually having a video chat, but we had a bet and all kinds of stuff, dude, all this year. And
I'm rocking it.
I know you are. So I lost the bet to Hal. It was hat for hat. We both kind of had new-ish seal rights. And
New looking.
yeah, new looking. And the previous owner of mine did a fantastic job of keeping it clean. I did a miserable job of keeping it clean. Like, we tried, but a couple malfunctions really threw it for a loop. But Hal, I want you to introduce yourself, man, and kind of just let people know who you are, your business, and where you're at, and things like that.
So, as you already introduced, my name's Hal Davis, Harold Davis, really, and I'm the owner and operator of HD Seal and Stripe LLC. The HD being my initials, Harold Davis. I started my own business, HD Seal and Stripe, in December of 2018. So 2019, last year, was my first season completely on my own. No stranger to the industry. Right out of high school, I started working for a family friend who owned a seal coating company. And, you know, I was just throwing Black Beauty and pushing a broom and getting yelled at for a couple years. But I stuck with the seal coating, the paving, the crack sealing, and all that good stuff. And really, you know, stayed in the industry until I felt I really, you know, knew enough that I trusted to invest in myself and knew that, you know, I can do this. I'm doing this for other people and I'm being successful at that. The next step is to invest in myself and create a future for my family. And so that's what we've done over the past 2 years, is just, you know, run and operate instead of being told, you know, just a list of jobs to go do. I'm out getting that list, creating it, and doing it. So it's a new experience. It's been hectic, but it's been awesome. I wouldn't change a thing.
You guys are in Concord, am I right?
We're actually, yeah. So right now I live personally in Concord.
Yep.
Our shop's up in the Lakes region, you know, 20 minutes north. And we're looking at buying a house up in the Lakes region, a little bit more north of Concord. That's where I'm from. So
Laconia, you got up that area?
Yeah, that's where I was born, actually, Laconia. It's cool, you know the area.
I know that stuff. I know that stuff. All right.
Yeah.
So, I spent a lot of time in New Hampshire, so.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't plan on leaving except for on vacation. You know, I'm going to die in New Hampshire.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you. All right. So the other question I had, what was it like that, did you have enough knowledge, like, once you know how to do the work and how it should be done, that's basics. The actual hard stuff is in the office, like this stuff here.
Oh yeah.
Stuff we don't know. How hard was that curve when you hit it?
It was really hard. It was like every call I got, I learned something.
Yeah.
Still, you know what I mean? Still to this day, I'm like figuring out ways that I could do it that are better, because I wasn't a salesman ever for, you know, this stuff until I started my own company and had to put on the salesman hat and go out there and, you know, not just be the guy that can do the work and take pride in the work, but also, you know, go out and have customer service and, you know how to talk to people, and kind of through my own trials and errors and watching people's reactions, seeing if I, you know, get the job signed, if I don't, you know, ifs and whys and whatever. You know, you learn a lot, see what works, what doesn't work. So I kind of have built myself a routine and things, you know, that I would say, or questions that I like to ask or answer to the customers that I find helps, or, you know, and educates the customer. You know, once you hear the same question from so many people, you kind of start to build that into your, you know what I mean, your spiel to them. So that stuff I'm always kind of adding on to, learning and figuring out. So it was really confusing to keep track of all that the first year. It was like, you know, I'm doing all the work, but wait, what about taxes? And what about, you know, keeping records?
Just organizing to be
exactly efficient. Organizing. Like, so this is how I've done it since day one. Is I got a binder, and in it you got the map of New Hampshire there. I don't know if you can see, so I can be good with logistics and see what towns we're going to for scheduling.
Sure.
But you got Monday's folder, Tuesday's folder, Wednesday's folder, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. next week folder for people that you say, I'll be there next week. You know, you stick them in there so you don't forget them. And then,
they look like joist estimates. Were they joist estimates?
Yes. Yeah. I use joist estimates. And so as you can see in here, you know, I just print out the top page of my joist estimate, and that then becomes in the schedule stack. So then I pick out the jobs and fill Monday through Friday every Saturday.
I've been in New Hampshire, and I know whatever weather I'm getting, you're going to get 2 or 3 days later, maybe 2 days.
Yeah, I know. When I see you raining, I'm like, oh man, it's coming.
So what do you do? Like I really try not to schedule farther than a week out, because I know
I do the same thing so that rain days can get taken care of the next week, and you're not, oh, sorry, we're booked for the next 45 days before we can get you back on.
Give yourself,
you're gonna have a lot of unhappy people.
Like a couple days grace. Like in the week, I'll plan out 4 days, or about 4 days, because I give ourselves 1 day for me to either make quick fill-ins, or if it rains, I'm gonna fill that in.
I started doing that at the end here. I wasn't scheduling Friday because I knew we're going to have a day that's too cold or too wet, and you know, let's just keep Friday open, and we're going to fill it, so it's not a worry that we won't have work. But it was smart, and I did do that too.
So you're wearing my hat.
Oh yeah.
And the reason you got that hat is because we made a bet on who was going to keep the cleanest rig. We had a good run. I had a good run. We had a good run going. The only spot where we really had some sealer was at the front water tank. We keep our brushes in the brush box, and that thing was just dripping with light sealer, which you can just clean off easy.
Yeah, yeah.
But we had a hose blowout. So my fittings, I had that 2-inch pump, but it wasn't functioning properly. So I took the 2-inch pump. We had to retrofit my 1.5-inch Seal Right one on there. So I used a piece of green ag hose. But we got the replacement pump, but we were just in mid-season, and I didn't want to replace it because everything was functioning fine. Well, that thing sprung a leak, dude, that ag hose. Somehow it split from the inside to the out, and we were on a line just going down this long industrial road, got down one side, and was going to have to do the other. Meanwhile, we're trying to get traffic to go on the outside of us while we're seal coating this.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get it all done in a day as far as the seal coating, but it was a good chunk. We get to the end of that first line, and one of my guys like, hey, I'm like, what? And he puts his arm up, and there's little black dots everywhere. He said, it's leaking.
Oh, no. I've been there.
And he's like, I don't know where. So I was looking at my wand, but it wasn't on the wand. So I get walking back, and I can see it on the ground. But as I get toward the trailer, it kind of teardrops like it's looking to where there was a leak. We couldn't see the leak. I could just see that there was sealer on it. And I was like, well, we're just going to keep going, I guess. I said, if it's a small one, or maybe it just filled up with sealer or whatever, I'm going to try to keep going. So the crew lead turns around, Chris. He gets by it. He's like, I can't see anything. He turns around, and when he turns around, there must have been a little piece in there with pressure behind it. Yeah. And it blew out in the back of the head. Dude, it caught him in the back of the head, and there was sealer. He was like, oh, man. So then we can see it. I take the pressure off. They're freaking out. I try wrapping it in a rag and some duct tape so that we can make our loop and go back the other way. But, dude, it just started flooding, and it was flooded all down the pump, all over the deck. It's still on there, dude, at least 1/4 of an inch, because I let that part dry. We didn't want to rinse it on the job because it was going to get everywhere.
Yeah.
So I let that part dry. When it pumped again, it caked up again. And I'm like, oh, screw it. We're just going to have to get a replacement piece. So I had to take that pump off with that hose. All the sealer that was in the fittings and the surge tank and everything went all over the back of the unit. And that was that was my white flag. I said, Hal, that day, Chris said, Hal's getting a hat. That day, Hal's getting a hat, because he knows me. He knows that I'm not going to get too crazy. I can take care of a little bit, but if it piles up too big, that would have been like chopping wood, dude, trying to get all that.
You got to do that in the wintertime. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fast, but I'd suggest just a putty knife. Yeah. But you can use an air hammer. I try to stay away from the air hammers because they're a little bit destructive.
I was going to say, I'm going to chew up that paint on there.
I just take my time with a putty knife and then sand everything down after. It's time consuming.
Oh, well, I guess we'll do that.
Hey, since you put yourself out there, I had one blow up this year, and luckily it didn't have any consequence to our tank because we have a 30-gallon water container, and we used all 30 of those gallons of water to completely wash the piece of equipment right there on the spot. I mean, we completely cleaned it all off, thank God, because when I saw that, man, it was like my heart sunk to the floor. my worker Dylan goes, Hal, and he points, and I look at him point, and I follow his finger, and it was just a geyser of seal coat going up from where the hose goes onto the hose reel. That had usually we keep it on there a few wraps, but we forgot to relock the hose reel, and so it pulled out that extra bit, and it broke the crimp. We had bought a crimped hose instead of a hose clamp, and that crimp broke, popped off, and sealer was just coming right out of the hose reel, coming back down on the back of the tank.
It keeps it at a weird angle. If you don't keep a couple wraps, that hose is like at almost like a 45, but it don't want to be. So like it's going to give at some point. And you'll see that if at the wand too. Sometimes I notice if I put the wand up too high and it wants to crimp right there, and it can screw you. But I had it actually. I didn't have before our seal right. I had a hose that went on to just a nipple that was in the wand, and I put a couple hose clamps on it.
Yep, that's what we did.
Dude, I was on a job one time, dude, and that sucker. Oh, it did it this year too, so it's twice now.
Pops right off, starts spraying you.
God, dude, it's like on a cartoon. That sealer just.
Oh yeah, everywhere. I call it the King Cobra. It stands up and walks itself right across the parking lot, spraying everything in its way.
Yes, dude, and it's just like, man, what were we doing? It didn't do it again, but it just was like, how did I not notice that it was doing that? But it happened quick, I guess.
Oh yeah, it does. It does happen quick. So on the spot, we.
What are you gonna do? What are you going to do to make that stop? Because I got the hose clamps. You'd have to get a fitting on there and put in a hard fitting, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So what we did was it was a crimped hose fitting. So we took that, we got the sealer shut off from pumping everywhere. We washed everything real quick, and then we cut off the crimp part because it was crimped onto the hose. We cut that off, and I keep everything like a just in case kind of in my toolbox. So we had a male nipple that we put onto the hose reel, slid the hose back on, couple of hose clamps, boom, that fixed that. And then from there, I reeled the hose up 3 times, and I took a big, fat, black zip tie, and I zip tied all 3 of those wraps on the hose together, so that will never happen again. It cannot physically come all the way out, because it hits that zip tie, and you still got 3 wraps on the hose reel, and I honestly recommend everybody does that. Because
we ended up getting those hose.
One of the worst mistakes that can happen. It can cost a lot of money.
Oh, dude, and it ain't even the money.
Equipment and the job, if you're.
It's the headache. If you're next to shit, then it does matter.
Oh yeah, it's done.
We're on farm lanes a lot of time down here, so it's not going to ruin anything. The main thing is just the headache, dude.
We were in downtown, but luckily there was no cars parked next to us, and we had like more than enough time to squeegee it all up into the parking lot and run this 50-gallon puddle of seal coat out, and then we still sealed the parking lot, so they kind of got a free second coat on an area, if anything.
We had you ever drag a kink on that hose?
Oh yeah, yep.
Nightmare. If you don't watch
it, you know about the kinks.
You'll eat that corner right off of that hose, and then you'll have a hole right there.
Oh yeah.
Most of the time, people don't see it. Like I won't see it. If I'm spraying, I'm at the wand, and if I'm the hose puller or I'm at the tank, you don't see it. Well, when the guys pull the truck up, you'll pull. Yeah, go ahead, and that hose will kink sometimes and pull. I had that happen at a bank one time, and it did the same thing. A spray pattern went onto the blacktop, and it teardropped. But the end of that teardrop, the round part where the spray was going, was like 3 inches from brand new concrete, pressed, formed concrete finish with the color and the clear coating and everything on it. Dude, it was 3 inches from there, just soaked it. Now my heart was just like pounding. Dude. I was like, thank you, God. So then, I broke a steak in half, put the steak on each side, and put a rag over it, and then just duct taped it. And so we got to the end. But now, as soon as there's a kink, that's one of our first things everyone knows.
Oh yeah, fix the kink. So I will say with you, because you mentioned where the wand goes on and the hose popped off.
Yeah.
We haven't had that. I've had that happen to me over 10 times in my 10 years, and because it does happen. But this past hose that we bought came with a thicker piece of rubber hose, like real thick, that slides over your swivel and keeps the end of the hose from kinking there. It's like, a foot long, and it goes over the hose, and it's just thick rubber, so it makes it so it can't kink right there when it goes in. And
we got like springs, long springs that go on.
Same idea. Yep.
Same idea. We had
just a thick piece of rubber there, thick rubber hose that goes over that hose, and it can move, slide on and off, but we keep it right up there, and I think that it helps.
You ever had
it popped off this year, so that could have been it.
You ever had the valve open a little bit on the wand, and then someone
Oh yeah.
pressure the line without somebody
Yep.
sucker, and it's
We run a 2-man crew. It's just me and my guy. But when he pulls the hose out, right, he stays holding that hose until I do my pressure, so that when I turn it on and it sends the pressure down the line, it can roll the hose. It can roll the wand, turn it on, and it'll take right off. So he holds on to that wand until I pressurize it and I yell to him, "It's live," and then he sets it down with care. Make sure that the handle's up so it's not going to get kicked or turn on if it does get kicked. And same thing when we're pulling the truck forward, we always have a guy holding that wand. That way, if the hose gets knotted and pulls quicker than it should because it's pulling a big knot, it'll start to pull the wand, and that handle 9 times out of 10 will turn on if you're dragging it. You know what I mean? It's just the way it works.
Especially if there's decorative rock and there's
any granite curbs, it's turning on.
We had a new kid do it a couple years ago. He went and took the wand down and just made the hose live without any of us even knowing, because he was just trying to, I think he was just trying to be like, all right, everything's ready, go ahead, But there's those are in placement so that kind of shit don't happen. But he blew it all over decorative rock, and we had to replace the decorative rock and everything else, man. It was man, come on. But my whole crew was there, so everyone got to see what happens when that happens.
And learn.
Yeah, and everyone was like, all right, I guess it ain't gonna happen.
I'm very lucky. I've learned my worst lessons under someone else's name before starting. With my company, it's like, don't do this because this is going to happen, and we're not going to do that because that's going to happen, and this is what we got to watch out for.
They give me grief.
My helper is very knowledgeable. He's he's a sponge. He takes in what I teach him, and he knows. So it's great.
They give me grief all the time because I repeat the same stuff, stuff we've learned. So. What you got going on today? You got a welder, right? Yes, I do.
He's welding on a new hitch right now, or a new jack on the front of our trailer.
Yep.
Right now, the jack, when you open up, the trailer's on the truck and you open up the tailgate, the jack's in the way and the tailgate hits it. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So we're cutting that jack off and putting one that swivels so that when we
you gotta watch your language. This is a family show. Hal, you gotta watch your language. I said you gotta watch your language. This is a family show. I'm just messing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you.
I didn't even realize.
No, I'm messing with you. I'm giving you grief.
Yeah. So we are welding a jack on that swivels.
When you get that, when that shit's in the way, does it bother you enough that the jack being up too high and not having a place for your bander and things like that? Does that bother you enough to where you're like, well, I have to make a bracket. I have to do this. I got to get this out of the way.
Yeah. Yes and no. It's mostly because I know that if we do it, it's going to forever help our efficiency and the efficiency of us getting the work done, but also the efficiency of how our trailer holds our equipment and how it holds. Having the bander off of the trailer, it's going to hold. We'll be able to put an extra, maybe 400 pounds of rubber in boxes on the trailer. You don't have that room from the bander.
Rig. We've established that you keep a clean rig. I imagine that probably helps because we put all our stuff up in where the deck area is, and it's covered with rubber and everything already. Do you have any tips for keeping a clean rig? Because you obviously kicked my ass.
The hot rubber, my direct fire melter ain't much to look at compared to anyone else's. That paint's going to burn off and it's going to, you're going to get rubber on the bander. It's meant for that. But as far as the tank goes and keeping the sealer stuff clean, it's just really paying attention, and when anything happens, hitting it with water right away. Because as you know, if it's not washed immediately, it's permanent and it's going to be a pain to get it cleaned. So we're really forever paying attention. You mentioned the brush box splashing, and that's been a problem that I've dealt with my whole 10 years is the brush box makes a mess. And so we put a locking latch, we welded onto the lid of the brush box. So when you shut the brush box, it locks and you can hit the biggest bump ever. It's not going to open and shut, so that right there keeps a lot of that mucky sealer water in it and from going all over the side of our trailer. Cause that's what the reality of it happens when it starts splashing out, it runs down your trailer and it goes, it gets on everything. So it's a big mess maker.
Did you guys winterize already?
Yes, we did.
What do you do for a winterization?
So I'll start by saying typically I've always chipped my tanks in the wintertime. So, we'll rinse out standing sealer and make sure everything's empty, but I don't go crazy inside of the tank. I, let the sealer that's in there sit there and I chip it off. And the wintertime when we have time, it's frozen and it's easy.
Yeah.
But this year we spent, a few hours really, and with the hose on jet and reaching into the tank, and we were able to spray out all the sealer, while it was wet and while it was fresh, and get the
Even on the
tank pretty much
sidewalls,
down to bare metal.
even up on the sidewalls and everything.
Yeah, the sidewalls especially. I was really impressed with it. Like came back down to clean metal. So
And
the
agitator
we're
bars
gonna have to chip. We're gonna have to chip like the head walls of the tank because those don't really, have a rubber piece that is wiping it every day and keeping it cleaner. But the side walls, the bottom, all of that came right down to clean metal. And same with the agitator bars. I really hit every one of those with the hose while it was spinning, and we took our time and we're real anal with it, and holding the hose on every spot until no black water came off.
I seen a picture, didn't I? Didn't I see a picture?
Yeah, I think, and it was like I was proud of that. That was after 4 hours of spraying it down with water. Some people were saying, "Oh, well, your seal coat isn't good or something." It's like, no, we spent 4 hours with a hose. That's why it looks that clean.
Did you have chunks of a lot of stuff at the bottom you had to out? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, not a lot of chunks, but we had the mud built up. That
I was wondering if there were hard pieces from
sealer layer.
last.
No, not too bad. We never let our tank sit, and we typically are filling it at least once a week. So it's not like the sealer's getting old in there or going 3-4 days without being mixed, or, what I mean, left with the top open or something. So for the most part, the sealer in there, it stayed good. It was fresh all the time. And on our last job, we started spraying air out because we were coming down a hill, and I got a 150-foot hose. So it was fine. We pulled all the way down to the bottom, jacked the tank up, and finished the job, and I had less than 20 gallons of sealer left in the tank. So I couldn't have asked for that to work out better. We put the real seal coat into a 55-gallon, junk drum that we take care of. We don't just, piss it out on the yard. Sure. And so we junk all of that, and then same thing when we're rinsing it through, we run that all into a hose, or through a hose into a drum. And so we get the entire inside of the tank cleaned out with water, and then we hook up. I have a 200-gallon tote that we keep filled with water. I hook that up to the main tank feed on the bottom and run 200 gallons of water through the whole spray system. Before I do that, I take the basket apart, pull the drain plug, get all the mud in there, chip it so it's completely clean metal, or else you'll be pushing sealer water through the whole time if the basket's dirty. So we do the basket first, then we run 200 gallons of water through the spray system, out the hose, out every other option, open up every ball valve, really rinse the back suck, let 50 gallons run through there, and really everything is going to get flushed with so much water until it's coming out perfectly clean. Once that's happening, we drain all the water, and we cycle the pump dry. I'm not sure if it's the best thing to do, but we don't do it forever. It's just like, at least a minute, we let the pump run dry and push the last of that water out. We open up the bottom of the basket again. We open that up, drain all the water, and then we shut the basket, and we fill up the basket area with RV antifreeze. Once we've drip dried all the water out of the system.
Let it suck through?
Yep. So you fill up 3 gallons. We have a 3-gallon basket. Some people might have a 2-gallon basket. Ours is 3. We put 3 gallons in, and we keep the lid off because you're going to have to pour another gallon in as you're sucking it, because it'll always have 2 gallons in there. You'll only be able to suck the top gallon the way that it feeds out. So as I toggle the air and start to suck that antifreeze up, we do it. We have another 2-inch outlet to pump bulk sealer out. We don't put the antifreeze into a hose. Sometimes I have in the past, it's not going to matter, but we just opened up the 2-inch port until antifreeze shot out of it. Once antifreeze shuts out of it, shut everything off, and your pump's winterized. We also have the water tank underneath our seal right, which
Mhm.
has a water pump on that as well.
The little one,
So
does yours have the
for
little
that,
pump?
we drain. Yeah, it's a little see-through one, which is
Yeah,
cool because if you can
see
see how
it.
the pump works. It's the
Yeah,
same as a 2-inch pump, but it's mini. So
yeah, if you
it's
use the pink antifreeze,
same idea.
yeah, you can see, if you use the pink RV antifreeze, you can see it pump through there, and you're like, well,
Oh yeah, my pump's pink right now. It's pretty
yeah, ain't
cool
no
actually.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So same thing. We pull the plug out of that tank. We move the trailer so it's at an angle that it's really going to drip all that water out. Then we pour the antifreeze into that. Not a lot. You don't need a lot. And then you run the pump. You know what I mean? Till the pump's pink. Antifreeze is coming out of your water hose, and it's good for the winter time. I might still unbolt both pumps and take them inside into my basement to be
I do
extra
that.
sure.
We got one.
And,
I
and,
got both
and
of
I'm still going to leave antifreeze in because if we lose power, it gets cold in the basement.
them. Yeah,
It'll freeze in there if we're out of power for 2 days. So
sure.
we'll
Like,
still
I
have
don't care about my
antifreeze.
house pipes freezing. I
But
can't have my pump crack. Like, I don't care
exactly.
about
I
the
get a rebuild kit that I'm not trying to use,
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. So, as far as your season being pretty much done, everything's
Yep. We're
winterized.
crack sealing and patching till we can't. We do
Yep.
have a good amount of crack seal only work throughout the season that I accumulate. I try to let them know that we're going to finish our seal coating season first because that has a time limit. And once we wrap up the hose, which we just did this past Friday or Thursday, really was our last job, we're going to focus on just crack sealing and get these. We got a few roads, private roads, homeowners associations, parking lots, and a couple private driveways that just wanted crack sealing done. So we're going to do those, over the next few weeks.
For as far as, so once everything's buttoned down, I'm terrible. Through the years, I would do part of my paperwork through the summer, and then once I got busy, it was about like the podcast. I just didn't have time to do the paperwork, so it's just
Yep.
stacked up. So I got to do that.
I got some QuickBooks to go through.
Yeah, so we do the same thing. But I know at this time of the year, I always start thinking about the moves that I want to make next season. So,
I have been.
yeah, so I was just kind of wondering what we can expect, like, and I hate putting people on the spot because I love to hit my goals, but I also don't hit my goals all the time, but they're there.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, a big thing is a bulk tank.
That was my goal this year, and I didn't hit it. But it's my biggest goal for next year.
I'm 10 years behind getting one, but we're just now in place where we're so rural. It's taken long enough for that safety net to be there where it's like, all right, we can take that on. I can take on the crew lead, another crew, whatever, and we can do this. So that's my kind of thing. Is that kind of your goals for coming up? I'm sure everyone's is pretty much the same. But
yeah, well, it's funny that you said the bulk tank because that was something that last year I said this year I wanted to get a bulk tank this year. It'll be better, but we ended up just running our SR 700 all year, and that was sufficient. But next year I really want a bulk tank.
How far are you from your seal coat?
Have more sealer, huh?
How far are you from your seal coat supplier right now?
I have 3 that I could go to, all ironically the same town. Like they're all an hour south from me, but
that's where we are. We're about an hour too.
Go down there and get Naira, Gem Seal, or Seal Master Seal.
Those hours add up, man. Those hours add up. Like you have to go get sealer in the morning. It makes you almost not want to go out that day, because you got to get everything ready. So for us, I told the guys, like, and it'd be the same in your situation. You spend half a day going to get sealer, and you do that 20 times, just as for numbers. If you say you do that 20 times, you've wasted almost 10 days of nothing in the middle of a summer where we have a timeline. Now, let's say you do it 40 times, then it's 20. Everything is half, So I'm with you on that. Exactly. Any other stuff? Any other little things you want to get? Bigger push?
Yes.
Backpack. You want double backpack blower? One on the front and one on the back?
Yeah. I already mastered that. But it's funny. My welder's here. Me and him are gonna weld and make our own crack jet, like mobile compressor. You know what I'm talking about? Pressured air torch. So
I'm gonna come out and see. I want to see all the contraptions and all the attachments and everything else you got going.
Oh yeah.
And plus we'll go to Canopy. Is that Canopy Lake or Canopy Park? What is that?
Canopy Lake Park.
Yeah, where the there's rides and stuff.
Canopy Lake Park.
Yeah. Where there's rides. Dude, did you ever do the Turkish twister there?
Oh yeah, I've actually puked on someone.
Oh my God, dude! I was never the same.
Birthday party.
Dude,
Yep,
I was
I
never the
puked because
same.
of that ride.
When I come out of there, and no lie, I have almost instant vertigo if I even
Yep,
turn in one circle. That thing ruined my life, dude.
yeah.
We'll tell people about it. It's like it's two people go in it, right? I think that's all that go in it, and it goes down into
No,
the
that
ground.
one, it's a few people.
Yeah, and it goes down in the ground though, right?
Yep, the floor does. You
Yeah.
stay the same, but the
And
floor drops down, and you're
it's
stuck
like
to the
being in a
wall.
pop can. Yeah, it's like being in a pop can going, dude.
Yeah.
It took me 3 days to recover it, and I was probably, shit, I don't know, 15 or 16. And dude,
Yep.
I went on, I've got smashed a few times and wasn't as sick as I was when I come out of that Turkish twister, dude. That messed me up in my life. But so
Yeah.
as far as
Another goal is the dump trailer. So, and it's funny because I've reached this goal, but because of COVID setbacks, and then the town it's being made in, I guess, had some riots that shut things down, and a lot of different setbacks. But long story short, we paid for a dump trailer, and I'm still waiting for it to get here. And so once we get that, though, we're going to be doing the same thing we do to all of our trailers, and we're going to fabricate it, customize it the way that we want it to be, as efficient and as purpose built as it can get.
You got dual axles, 7,000-pound axles.
Yep, exactly. It's a big boy. It's a 12-foot long dump box.
Just in case you want to put a skid
48-inch.
steer in there, right? It's just in case you want to put a skid steer in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's how mine is. That's my exact.
It's got 48-inch tall walls, so I mean, I could do anything. I could go pick up leaves with the thing, and you know what I mean. And then, so get this: it's a 12-foot long dump box with a 6-foot utility deck in front of it. So like our seal rights have that deck in front, my dump trailer is going to have a 6-foot dump in front of the dump box, and then your 2-foot V.
I got you.
So
You're just getting custom.
18, 20 feet long, but we're going to be able to put our compactor, walk behind cut saw, and 100-gallon water tank to feed water to both of those equipment, all on front of the dump trailer, and have a one-truck patching trailer.
What does your wife think? What does your wife think, Bud? Where it's just like, I'm going to do this. You did it, and all of a sudden, like, she sees you doing it, and it just keeps going. Is it a pretty good feeling, I would imagine?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, so we just had our first son, and so I know that
Harold, that's Harold Jr.
A family business for our son and for our family, and she gets to stay home with our family, and be a mom that she wanted to be, and I think it's awesome. I think it's the best gift I've ever had in life.
Yeah, well, it's a reward for your hard work and from jumping off that cliff a little bit. That's a scary damn thing to do. So, kudos to that. So I see you doing your thing. You got a good head of steam, and you're making moves. You're already, your business is almost as big as mine, if not bigger already. Who knows with our size? I'll find out when I come out there and see that dump trailer. But, we're not huge. We're about the same size. It's hard for us.
No, owner-operator.
Yeah, what? This year I was able to step away a little bit, but it's been a long time coming because we're so rural. I've had to build this safety net up, but we're almost in the same boat. So I know you're not going. I'm not going anywhere. So I would imagine with your head of steam, you're not going anywhere. You've got the ropes figured out and everything like that. So it's neat to see the future. I hope they have MPE, because I would hope you would come down and make it. I don't know what's all going to happen and what the deal is. I talked to Russ the other day about MPE, and he said it's still on. So I don't know what capacity it's going to look like or what the difference is. But if I don't get to see you there, I do want to come out and see you. And maybe I'm not doing Turkish Twister, but I do want to come out. But
what about snowboarding? You ski or snowboard?
No, but I'll watch. I would like watching snowboard and ski, but look at the size. Look at my body type. I'm not going to snowboard and ski, and I'll sit at the bottom, maybe sip a hot chocolate. So
yeah, they get a lodge.
Yeah, there's a lodge. There's got to be. I know there is.
Yeah, lodge, nice fire outside.
So, I know we talked about the bulk tank, and we talked about your business growing and building something for your son for the future. Real quick before we end the podcast, I want to ask you, what did you find when you started this was your greatest resource? Was it the knowledge that you had already had? Because I have people that do what you did, or at least want to do what you have done with your business. And my biggest thing I always tell them is go work for somebody first. If they work on it, like go work for somebody.
I say the same thing with someone with no experience. Dude,
So once
learn.
you started and you had your experience working at that place, what was your greatest resources? Was it magazines, Google? Was it the social media groups? What did you find where you were like, all right, I need to ask a question, and or I have a question. Where do I find this answer?
I definitely would say the social media groups, all the, there's a lot of paving, seal coating groups on, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. And I've built people from all the way in across the United States that I've built these relationship with, that, they could ask me a question, I could ask them a question. We can start to pick brains of 10 professionals from different areas and really see, what the best idea is. If I'm really torn on something or thinking about something, even if I don't make a post, I could message someone that, I respect and trust, and exactly kind of bounce an idea off. I've actually had to call a couple times, had to call someone that I had met, through those Facebook groups that I knew was more mechanically inclined than me when it comes to like troubleshooting a small engine or something. And I've called him straight up on a job site and, hey, this is what's going on, man. Can you help me? And through him talking with me on the phone, we were able to get my compressor running, within 5 minutes, finish the job and do the rest of the schedule for that day. And without the being involved in any of those groups, you wouldn't have that opportunity, where you might still have someone that you could call, but it's just been opening up so many more doors that it haven't been there without them. So
that's what helped me before I started.
Even just seeing what other people are doing, that they're doing this or that or the other thing.
Light bulbs go off.
Exactly. Light bulbs go off. Like, oh, I want to do that, or hey, I could do that, but better, because I'm going to add my own idea.
Most of the time for me,
it's always firing my brain off, keeping me involved in my business when I'm go on Facebook and everything about it is seal coating.
Most of the time it makes me look at myself and say, why the hell have I been doing it like this for years? Like, why did I do it the hard way for years? Like, what the hell?
I've had those moments. That's how I feel like when I'm pulling a bander around. But
yes,
we'll get our walk behind melter when we can. That's the bigger goal. If I could get a toe behind, either Craftco, Seal Master. I'm going to get one of those before I get a bulk tank.
Dude,
that is going to ultimately improve our efficiency and how we work. And it's safer. It's safer than
it is safer. Yeah, it is. That was a big thing. I bid it off, and we didn't use it much the first year because I wasn't comfortable. This year I forced us to use it. It paid for itself this year. But we were so comfortable at the end that we were pulling it. If we took out two trucks, one was pulling the Craftco and one was pulling the Seal Right, we'd back that Craftco our way down, back the seal coat rig up, and go down the rest of the way. Jason Vaughn from Vaughn
every company I worked for did it that way.
Yeah.
Before I started mine.
Yeah, it's efficient.
It is very efficient. If you have the manpower, the truck power to do that, it is the most efficient way to do it by far.
Yeah, you're like, shit, I'm going to have to wait an hour for this thing to warm up, and hopefully it gets going, do whatever. But once you get used to the machine, like ours is an older style, so we got the oven box at the back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've used them all.
Yep. And at first we were terrible, and now we love it. So it's like,
once you get into that routine of heating up the hose and working the oven that you have, it's efficient. Those ones are a little more of a pain than the SS's and stuff that have all the all of that. But those ovens, they work when you know how to work them, man. I've done miles and miles and miles of crack sealing on highways, roads, and parking lots with old oven and crack hose. So,
all right, man. Well, I don't want to keep you any longer. I know you got your welder there and everything's going. I appreciate you being here. I think we're gonna have to do another podcast, you and I, sometime down the line, because I want to pick your brain about when you started, how you did marketing and things. Of course, everyone knows that's what I like. What I like about this is because with me, with a business like yours, where you start unknown to go to where you're plugging success, the only connection is marketing of how you did that. Yep. So that's what I always want to pick your brain about. When we get some downtime here this winter, we'll have another session and get to do it. But right now, man, I just want to thank you for taking time and being on here for season 2. I imagine my seasons are going to be over the winter when we do the podcast. And you know, it's nice to get back in rhythm. I appreciate it. Any advice, anything you want to say before?
No, just thank you, man. And it was an honor. And I hope, you know, as everyone's wrapping up their season, I hope that everyone can look back, reflect, and be proud that, you know, they had a successful season and start setting goals for next year. Cause that's what it's all about is, you know, reaching that next level. So
cool. Hal, I want to say thanks, man, because that mentality that you have was very few and far between when I first started connecting with people across the country. Everyone had that kind of, you know, we're top dog, get out of here kind of thing. And now, like, dude, like you and I, we want to help each other. Like, now I know you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to see anyone fail, but I want to be invested in your success too, as you all have been in mine. So I really appreciate it. Hal, you've killed it this year, man. I love seeing the pictures. I love it. I love it. So I would tell you to kill it, but I know you are. So everyone else, we want you to pave it, seal it, stripe it, and kill it. Peace.
And save it before you pave it.
So that's trademarked. Somebody trademarked that.
That is trademarked to me.